Okay, so it's been a while since I made one of these videos, but I decided to get back into it. As you may know, lately I've been using an emulated Macintosh from the 1980s and old software to create the artwork for my Pathfinder campaign. And up until recently, I've been relying mostly on Mac Paint for that artwork. And Mac Paint was a really innovative product when it was released in 1984, but it doesn't take long to reach the limitations. And some of those limitations stem from the fact that you're limited to editing everything on a tiny little window. And as you can see here, the window is just a small fraction of your 8 by 10 inch canvas. Now I can move this window around, but I can't do anything outside of that window. As you can see, I can draw a box only as large as the window itself, no larger. Also, I can't cut and paste anything larger than this editing window onto the page. And that's a huge limitation because if I want to do anything larger than that tiny window, I have to do it in pieces. Also, Mac Paint is not very helpful after you put the paint on the canvas. You're very limited in what you can accomplish. So for instance, I can make a selection, and once my selection is made, I can move it around, and I can flip it horizontally or vertically. I can also trace the edges of my selection, and I can invert the black and white portions. But that's about it. So what I've decided to do is look at some software that came out after Mac Paint to see what improvements are available. In 1986, Apple released the Macintosh Plus, and it was a huge improvement over the original Mac. But one thing that they did is they removed the free pack-in of MacWrite and Mac Paint. This opened the door for competitors to come out with better products, and one of the first was Full Paint. I was lucky enough to find a sealed, boxed copy of Full Paint on eBay, and here it is. Inside, you get a very nice manual, some catalogs for some software, warranty card, and a manual for a utility that was included to help you print in color on an image writer with a color ribbon. The application itself comes on one 400K disc. The other disc you get has some utilities to help you print. And it's quite small. It was designed to run on any compact Mac with at least 512K of RAM, which is everything but the original Mac. All right, so here we are in our emulated Macintosh, and let's start up Full Paint. And the first thing you notice is the interface is very similar to Mac Paint, but there are a couple of subtle differences. For one thing, we have some scroll bars here. Let me demonstrate by drawing a quick figure. And as you can see, we can scroll around the canvas. That's something that you couldn't do in Mac Paint. You had to use the hand tool. So that's helpful. Also, there are these 3 little buttons down here which didn't exist in Mac Paint. Let's see what they do. The middle one gives you the entire screen to draw on, and the one to the right makes the menu bar go away. If I were to hit the space bar, now even the palettes go away, which gives us a much larger drawing area than you were allowed to have in Mac Paint. And I can demonstrate that by bringing our menus back, and I can show you when I show pages that we now have almost half of the canvas available to us for drawing, much larger than Mac Paint. Full Paint also allows you to open up to 4 separate files simultaneously, something that Mac Paint never could allow you to do. You do need a megabyte of memory to do this, but this was a big advantage of the Mac Plus. It came stock with a megabyte. Some tools work differently in Full Paint. For instance, in Mac Paint, if I draw a selection box around something, it stays exactly where it is. And it works the same in Full Paint. However, if you hold the Command button down and then draw the same box, it shrinks the selection box to the smallest size necessary to select the entire figure, which is nice. Full Paint offers this handy utility called Mouse Spot. which is a meter up in the corner that tells you exactly where your mouse is positioned. That makes it a lot easier to do technical drawing. Full paint also lets you do some fun things to your paint after it hits the canvas, things that you couldn't do in Mac Paint. For instance, I can freely rotate my figure in 1-degree increments. You couldn't do that in Mac Paint. You could only rotate in 90-degree increments. Full paint also lets me skew my selection. And there's a nifty tool called Perspective, which lets you drag a corner out and keeps the top edge where it is, gives you that perspective look. I can also distort the picture by grabbing one of the corners and dragging it in any direction. You can have a lot of fun with these tools. And finally, here's what I consider the most important new feature of Full Paint. I can open a MacDraw document that clearly fills the entire page. And what I'm going to do is select this figure, and I'm going to copy it, then close MacDraw, open up Full Paint, and then paste that entire thing in. And as you can see when I show the entire page, the entire figure pastes in. Mac Paint would only allow you to paste in the contents of this tiny editing window, but Full Paint lets me bring the entire figure in. That means I can draw shapes in MacDraw that fill the entire canvas, import them into Full Paint, and then add textures and other details in Full Paint. That's something you would never be able to do in Mac Paint. You had to do it in pieces, and this is a huge advantage over Mac Paint. Full Paint was created by Ann Arbor Softworks in 1986, and upon its creation it was an instant bestseller. But it didn't enjoy that status for very long. Within 6 months, it had been eclipsed by more advanced products. Part of the reason for this is the fact that Full Paint had no large monitor support. Also, it wouldn't run at all on a Macintosh 2, which was released in 1987. An update might have fixed this, but Ann Arbor Softworks was throwing everything they could into developing a word processor called Fullwrite. And I think what they were going for is to try and recapture the magic that the original Mac Paint and MacWrite had, but for a new generation. The problem was Fullwrite was released years late to middling reviews, and it was soon totally outclassed by Microsoft Word, which went on to dominate word processing on the Mac. And Full Paint never got an update. Along the way, Ann Arbor was sold to Ashton Tate, which was in turn sold to Borland, and by the mid-90s, all development had ceased. Full Paint became a footnote in digital graphics software history. And that's a shame, because Full Paint was one of the first examples of a company taking a product pioneered by Apple and proving that they could make it better in every way. And for that, they deserve respect. Next time, I'll show you the product that eventually replaced Full Paint. Thanks.